Hey guys, it's just Xavier Rose again. I'm just in my PJs and talking to you about things. And I'm gonna turn the brightness down on this Mac because, oh my god, a bit bright. So, I really, lately, I've been seeing a trend, especially on places like TikTok and Threads and Facebook and in the Wicca groups mostly of very young seekers. I don't have a problem with seekers. I think it's great that people are coming to the source to find out where to find Wicca, which is like subreddits and threads and Facebook groups. That's great. But I hate TikTok. TikTok has an issue with authenticity. TikTok is not a place you should be going to research or find information about Wicca or witchcraft. It's just not a good place to look. You're not going to find accurate things, you're going to find different opinions, and you're going to realize very quickly that the tradition of Wicca, by sensible people who practice it, is not exactly what you're looking for. And you'll get into, instead of practicing Wicca, find yourself just being spiritual. I hate that. I always say, if you're going to get into witchcraft, start with Wicca and work your way outward. And if you find that Wicca's not for you, worshipping deity and walking with the gods is not for you, that's fine. Leave and go somewhere else. But your foundation started in Wicca, which I think is amazing. I just hate that a lot of people don't stay in Wicca because they're not fulfilled, or they don't want to be tied down to gods or the quarters or the sabbats or the esbats. They don't want to be tied down. But the thing is, there are many Wiccans out there that don't do every esbat or don't do every sabbat, and there are people out there that don't cast spells 365 days of the year. I'm one of them. I don't. I rarely, I talk to my gods, I worship my gods on their days, I leave out offerings, I talk to my ancestors, I use divination devices, and I keep in contact with my religion because my relationship with the gods is not measured by attendance. And I know that sounds very, evangelist to say, but it is what it is. But on the topic of learning Wicca and seekers coming into Wicca, what I find they do is they learn from these really young 20-year-olds, and then these 20-year-olds have only been doing it for like 2-3 years. Like, if you're Wiccan and you're still going through your year in a day, please don't teach people. You have no right to do that. None whatsoever. It's like, if I went to my coven as a G-Sith, and that's a CX Wiccan term. If I went as a G-Sith and I started teaching people Wicca from our tradition, and I'm not the High Priestess, or I have not sought the High Priestess or the High Priest's blessings to do that, I would be thrown out of that coven. There are rules around Wicca. Of course, we're not monolithic. Of course, we're not a cult, say in those words, but we are an organized religion, and we have rules, and we have our own societies and congregations that have separate rules. So when you're teaching Wicca, it is important that you say, this is my traditional Wicca, and this is what I'm teaching you. This is not what everyone believes. So when you read books by people like Thorn Mooney or Scott Cunningham or Phyllis Curott, when you're reading books by these people, they're not usually basing it in Gardnerian practices or Alexandrian practices or anything like that. It's very broad terms because a lot of Wiccan traditions are very similar. They won't tell you specifics, they'll explain the similarities, and then with the nuances in tradition, you have to fill those gaps with your own tradition, your own beliefs. This is what annoys me, is when we go into teaching literal teenagers and young people about Wicca, is that we don't fill in the gaps. We should be filling in those gaps, and we should be explaining to young people that before we start, you should know that I am taught by Gardnerians and my practice is of a Gardnerian practice, so that when these people start going out in the world, they know that Gardnerian Wicca is a very specific and very strict way of practicing. And we're so unforgivable in saying that. We're unapologetic in saying that Gardnerian or Seax Wicca or Alexandrian Wicca or Dianic Wicca is very strict and straight and narrowed down the line. Our traditions don't change. If you go from my CX coven to another CX coven, it's going to be very much the same. The rules will be the same. We have, I guess you'd call them elections. They're very much the same. The rules, the doctrine doesn't change. The dogma we have written by Robart, or Ray Buckland as you know him, it's very strict. The tree is the guiding paperwork, is the guiding practice for us. And so when we're saying to people who come into Wicca and say, you can just do what you like, well then don't teach them a tradition. Teach them foundations and let them find their own tradition. So this video, I'm sorry, I'm going from here to here, but I really feel it's so important that when we're teaching Wicca, we let them know that this is my tradition, and my tradition will be different than the others. However, you know what I mean? Trying to explain it in a very simplistic way, to say that if you're going to learn Wicca, don't learn it off 22-year-old girls with septum piercings and, gender study courses and live with their parents, because they've never struggled a day in their life. And I guarantee you what they're doing is just trendy bullshit. I've said this a million times, and I'm unapologetic about the way I say it. There is Wiccans, and then there are witches, okay? So witches, Wiccans, British traditional witchcraft practitioners, aren't about proselytizing what it is that we do. We know that there are very strict rules for our tradition. The oath of secrecy, go and watch the video I made on that. The oath of secrecy is taken very seriously in Gardnerian Seax, Dianic Wicca, and Alexandrian Wicca. These are, the oath of secrecy is part of our initiation. The athame, or the sword, is put upon us and told to us, it is better that you rush upon this blade than enter this circle with fear in your heart. And the truth and justice coming from keeping confidential and secrecy the words and fears and camaraderie of your brothers and sisters in the craft is 100% bound. So when you see people on TikTok saying, I just cast this spell yesterday and it's amazing, probably not Wiccan. Probably not. Full on serious Wiccan. I know dabblers. I've been told about dabblers and I was like, oh, they're not. Just stop being mean about dabblers. They're dabblers. They don't take it seriously. And I'm unapologetic about saying that. I really don't give a fuck. There are people that join Wicca and witchcraft. All just people who join witchcraft act as though they take it seriously and then criticize Wiccans for cultural appropriation while also doing the exact same thing they accuse us of. Taking things from other countries and cultures and calling it witchcraft, when really what they're doing is just being new agey spiritualist. There is a better way of finding Wicca, and that is through the source. Finding your practice, finding your tradition through people who are actually from some form of lineage is probably better for you. You're going to get correct information that's not changed. You're going to hear opinions from people who have experience in Wicca. And one thing's to realize, and I'm going to be unapologetic again, is that people who say things like Scott Cunningham and Raymond Buckland and Gerald Gardner, all their practices are outdated and blah blah, are jealous that they couldn't find a coven to initiate them into. That's what it is. Pure fucking jealousy. I hate to say it. The reason this came up to me was because I saw the reactions of these pathetic, pitiful people on TikTok casting spells on Republicans and being like, this is what you get for voting red. When I see these poor, pathetic, pitiful people using actual energy to curse or hex and use their energy, waste their energy on people they've never fucking met or will never meet, or literally don't give a fuck about you, why do you care? Like, and then seeing in the comments, hi, my name's Cynthia, I'm 15, I want to learn about Wicca, can you teach me? And what this person does is, under their comment go, DM me. DM me, baby witch. It's fucking insane. It's just so insane. Like, it's so insane. You know, and for people to say that witchcraft isn't religious, it's so insulting. It's insulting to seekers who actually want to be part of something authentic when someone who guarantee within 10, 15 years won't give a fuck about Wicca or witchcraft and will just go through everything as a phase until they can't find anything else to appropriate. They'll leave the witchcraft community in tatters with the reputation that they've put on it because they're so popular on TikTok, and will be left to pick up the pieces and say, actually, it's not all about dark makeup and using menstrual blood and spells. It's not about that at all, you know? It's like, there's a place for menstrual blood and spell work. I understand that, but to proselytize it all over TikTok as part of women empowerment is just irresponsible and downplaying to our religious practices. Just saying it. You know, sorry, I have EA keep coming up on my fucking screen. I don't want to play The Sims. Go away. Anyway. I feel really bad for seekers at the moment. I find that, and this was the same thing with Witch on the Rocks, when she said that she would no longer be answering. She did a whole Ringo Starr thing. Like, I'm not answering to seekers anymore about Wicca. I'm not answering to comments or emails from seekers anymore because blah, blah, blah. Because I've done it, I'm sick of explaining it, blah, blah, blah. And at that time, I was like 18, 19. I'm 29 now, guys. 20 fucking 9. Almost 30. I was upset because I was one of those people that she replied to, please see my video, blah, 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 and sent a link. Someone I really looked up to about witchcraft. And then I realised, actually, she's not Wiccan, therefore I don't need to listen to her voice when it comes to being an authority in witchcraft. I love Sammy. I think Sammy, she's part of my journey. But when it comes to thinking about witchcraft influencers and creators, she's just not on my list of who I would recommend. Because she's rebranded so many times. I couldn't say Flora Sage or Charming Pixie Flora because she's rebranded so many times to now you look at her videos and she barely mentions paganism. I don't know why. Maybe she's ashamed of it. I don't know. But I feel bad for seekers because they have nowhere to look with any legitimacy. And the only legitimacy that they see from YouTube are 10-year-old videos from people like Avalon Moon 91 and Cricket Song with Lunar Wisdom. These are people that I trust with that information. These are those two women are like I would trust them to teach me Wicca if I didn't know anything about Wicca, because they're dead set on the money of witchcraft. They understand that their opinion is not the only opinion, and they're just powerful women in our community that have made businesses from the ground up and just made it through. Like, I'm sorry, but you know, I think what Cricket Song was doing with Weirds and Witches, what she was doing with the Circle, I think she's fantastic. She is, you know, just an inspiration, and she's someone I look up to. I really love Cricket Song. I love you. There are people that have left this community because they're not taken seriously, or they can't attract viewers. Like, I can't attract viewers. I get 50 views within a month. Wow. But like I said, if I only get 1 view a month, I'm happy. My message is getting out to someone. But these people are struggling for relevancy because the young, cool, black eye contact, piercing, wearing cockatoo hairstyle pronoun posse of TikTok are being promoted as the voices of our community. And they're really not, because they're really young. And I don't know if you know this, but young people are incredibly fucking stupid and naive. And I'm not ashamed to say that, and I'm unapologetic against to say it. If a 14-year-old is looking for a way through to Wicca, number one, if you're a grown-up looking to spread Wicca to 14-year-olds, please make sure that their parents are aware that you're doing that, because it's inappropriate. And number two, let's not openly admit to teaching children misinformation about what Wicca and witchcraft is. I just feel really bad because these people that have built up their platforms that are fantastic, like the two women I mentioned previously, aren't getting the views they deserve because the young viewers are going to TikTok, Instagram, and Threads to get information on witchcraft. And that's really fucking sad, dude. It's really sad. So where should you look? Well, like I just said, read Big Blue. Read Scott Cunningham's Living Wicca, or Wicca, Guide for the Solitary Practitioner. And a lot of people say they're outdated books. The religion's called the old religion. Stop saying it's outdated. Our traditions have not fucking changed. So don't speak for those who practice British traditional witchcraft. Don't read books made by Cleaner Cunningham. Like, you're not Wiccan, so what the fuck would you know? You know? I agree, give a read to the new authors. Of course do that. But don't say things like, don't read that because it's outdated, it's old, there's so much new information. Look, I love the series Gone by Michael Grant, and that would be considered new. But you're not going to stop me from reading Bram Stoker or Mark Twain. Those books are really old and outdated. Baby, a classic never dies. Big Blue, Living Wicca, A Guide for the Solitary Practitioner. That's a classic, baby. What are you doing now? Come on now, that's a classic. Punch it in the throat. I'm a real thug sometimes. Anyway, I'm just going to leave that there, and I'm going to upload it on YouTube, and you can tell me if I've just been rambling for the last 22 minutes and 35 seconds. So, love, peace, and applesauce. Blessings, everyone, and I hope you had a fantastic Samhain, if you celebrate Samhain where you are. I had a great Beltane, just in case you were wondering. Have a great Thanksgiving to all my American friends and my Canadian friends, and I hope you have a fantastic holiday season. Maybe I'll see you around Christmas time. I don't know, haven't decided yet. Bye-bye.